Zach asked in advance because he couldn't be here for the live stream, what are your thoughts on Fantastic Four script being worked on with new writers? So it was announced just a couple days back that, oh, that's itty bitty. They've brought on some new writers to do some rewrites on Fantastic Four before they start shooting. This movie is currently scheduled to come out February of next year, so it's 13 months away. Slightly less than 13 months away. And they're bringing in new writers to do rewrites. So the question is, what do I make of this? My issue with the Fantastic Four project in general is that it feels like they are well aware of the previous Fantastic Four film's reputation for not being very good. They don't want that to happen again. They want to get it right. But when you're trying so hard to get something right, it's very easy to get paralysis of analysis, where you just keep second guessing yourself. And when you put that in the context of an MCU that's having a lot of kind of changes going on, they're realizing some issues. The quality hasn't been the best, so they're trying to restructure and increase the quality, not do so many last-minute reshoots. And one of your key projects you really don't want to get wrong is Fantastic Four. It's the one that has the most of kind of this second-guessing stuff going on. So, the most extreme example, or the weirdest thing surrounding Fantastic Four, is they haven't confirmed the cast yet. And if you've followed any of the rumor mill about the casting, it's been like 4 years straight of leakers, rumor people being like, it's right around the corner. They're about to announce the cast. This is the front runner. There have been so many different iterations of all of this. And John Watts was hired back in 2020 to direct this film, and then he left. We brought someone new on, and we got new writers coming in. And so for like 9 months now, they've been saying, leakers have been saying, it's right around the corner. It's right around the corner. As soon as the strike's in, we're going to tell you who it is. As soon as we get to December, before the year's over, before the month's over, it's right around the corner. They're going to announce the cast, and they still haven't announced it. And like this whole Pedro Pascal thing's been out there for months. He's been interviewed for other projects, and so it's like, is this like the real cast? And then you throw into the mix, after months of like, when are they going to announce the cast? This movie comes out in 13 months and they haven't announced the cast yet. Big spectacle films like this need a long post-production. They normally have long shoots. So for a movie of this size, I mean, we are getting a little bit close. There's movies that can do a quick turnaround. Marvel movies aren't the ones that have just a super quick turnaround. And then they bring in new writers. And so the question is raised, is the movie going to get postponed again? Are we going to delay again? Is this just a troubled production? I don't know. So I'm going to be at Megacon this next week, all 4 days, February 1st through the 4th in Orlando, Florida. I'm leading a bunch of different panels. One of them is on the terrifying state of horror movies with Cody Leach, Adam Does Movies, and some other people, where we're going to talk about what we're excited about in horror movies right now, the trends we're not so crazy about right now, all of that fun stuff. But we got a panel on comic book movies, talking about YouTube, hot takes, bunch of other fun stuff. So if you're anywhere on planet Earth or in the multiverse, you want to make it out to Megacon this next week, February 1st through the 4th in Orlando, Florida. Details on the panels and everything are down below in the description. My feeling is there's probably just a lot of paralysis of analysis. I think they really want to get it right, but sometimes that turns into 4 different people have an idea for what's right. 4 different people have an idea for how to do things in a manner that will make people happy, that will make money, but also be interesting. And it's tough. So that's what my best read on it. Other things to consider with this. People like me have been complaining that too many of these Marvel projects the last several years have underdeveloped a script, gone into production, shot a movie with the mindset of, we can always fix it in post. So then they do months of reshoots, and you kind of get these weird Frankenstein movies. So then you have Fantastic Four, and they're doing some last-minute rewrites, and you go, There's a version of that that's just, we don't want to repeat the mistake we've been making the last 3 or 4 years, which is not having the right script before we start shooting, so we're just getting the script right. Fair enough. That could be the case. That could be what it is, and that's good thinking. The other side to it ties into that paralysis of analysis or movies being overdeveloped. And if you follow the behind the scenes on movies enough, it's not uncommon for there just kind of be this cycle of different writers coming in, and they really like an idea. Someone turns in their script and they like the basic structure of it, but they have some issues and they don't think the current writer's the right person to finish it. So they bring in a new set of writers and they rewrite it and they keep what they liked. They bring some nice touches into it and they go, this is good, but I don't think you're quite the person to fix it. So they pass it off to the next person. And you just have this endless cycle of them trying to fix something without trusting one vision for the project. So there's a lot of hands on it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If you look at how many people wrote Top Gun Maverick, one of my, it's a top 50 favorite of all time for me, favorite movie of the decade, adore that film. You look at how many people wrote it, a lot of people wrote it. And there's the original writers, and then there's the guys that came in, and then there's Christopher McQuarrie, and it worked out great. And maybe that's kind of what's going on with Marvel. Maybe that's what Fantastic Four will be. The idea that it doesn't feel like a project with good momentum and a clear vision. Because when you have a clear vision, it's easy to make decisions, lock decisions, and move forward. Versus this constantly feels like pushing the release, switching out directors, switching out writers, cycling through the cast that haven't even been announced. And that's when you feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like we're on steady ground yet. Maybe it will eventually have steady ground, but as of thus far, it just feels really shaky and rocky. So I want to love Fantastic Four. If all that's going on is they just want to get the script right, it's really close. And they needed some people that maybe a little bit, sometimes they bring in some writers to do just a polish on it. We just wanted to be a little bit funnier, like your dialogue. We don't need you to change the plot. The structure's right. Do that. But the other thing you run into with Marvel, if they're rethinking Kang Dynasty, if they're rethinking Secret Wars, if they're making Doctor Doom the new big bad, if all this stuff down here is getting changed, and you put that in the context of Fantastic Four is probably going to be a big part of what their future Avengers plans are. If you're changing this down here, then you probably need to make changes here before we get over here. So suddenly we're doing a rewrite on Fantastic Four to set up this stuff over here. I also think that's probably a high potential of what's going on here, but there's a lot of things about a lot of this that are frustrating. Because you want this thing to move forward. You want it to be good. You don't want them to rush it. You also don't want them stuck in paralysis of analysis. You also don't want them unable to make decisions. Feels a little bit like that. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.